All right. So medical wellness retreat was the basis of my concept. So when we started out on this project, we researched two facilities, both with drastically different approaches to cancer care. We studied Hippocrates Health Institute, which is in West Palm Beach, Florida, and we studied Lennar Foundation Medical Center, which is in Coral Gables. They each had completely different approaches to cancer treatment, but they had the same goal of healing. Hippocrates was a 21-day cancer retreat. They did not perform chemotherapy on site, but they focused more on the mind healing and the spirit healing. And then we studied Lennar, which is a traditional chemotherapy medical facility. From an interior standpoint, we decided to study certain elements from the interiors which could impact cancer patient healing. So we studied cancer, we studied privacy, both audio and visual, biophilia, materials, and positive distraction. So the findings are pretty consistent with everything that, that we've learned in the healthcare studio from last semester. Colors and materials, patients can be sensitive to certain colors and extreme patterns. Privacy, obviously, both audio and visual privacy is important. Biophilia plays a crucial role in healing. But the most interesting finding, I think, for all of us was really that what we learned that came out of Hippocrates, and that was positive distraction in the form of community. And the number one contributor that people at Hippocrates felt was instrumental in their healing was this idea of community and this idea of having a support group around you that you can talk to, and they're going through the same journey as you. And so when I approached my project, I approached it from the idea of community. And so what we did was we decided we wanted to blend both hospitality and healthcare into one typology. And my project is focused on a 21-day, either pre or post-cancer retreat that's focused on healing the mind, the spirit, while purifying the body. My main focus through the entire project was to foster community in a home-like setting. And so some people keep asking me, well, what's 21 days? And the reason why I chose 21 days is because it takes 21 days for people to break old habits and to form new ones. So the program, we came up with some areas that were going to be instrumental to the actual program and making this work. So I broke mine into 3 separate categories. I have community areas, which include the reception, the lobby, bar, hallways, kitchen, retail juice. Then we have medical wellness that is focused on a little bit more community in the medical wellness areas. But those are, you know, your IV treatment rooms, your consultation rooms. And then the wellness spa, which I thought of as being something that you can also do individually. And so that would be more like sauna, treatment rooms, meditation, and massages. So the location, we chose 4041 Collins Avenue in Miami Beach. It is called the Confidant Hotel. It is owned by Hyatt, and it's part of the Unbound collection, which is a collection of hotels and experiences that inspire the freedom to be extraordinary. The Confidant Hotel itself has a very storied history in Miami, and it currently recently went through a huge renovation, and it is a vivid collaboration of Art Deco and mid-century modern. So approaching the scope of the project, I changed my scope a little bit from the rest of the group, only because it fit within with what I was trying to achieve. So my total square footage is 17,350 square feet. It encompasses the main area on the first floor. And then on the second floor, I have just the part, kind of the second level that's on the street level, and it's this area here. Ooh. So the constraints of the building, when we started designing, we learned that there are some protected elements within the building. So in the main lobby areas, we have existing terrazzo floors. We have a double height ceiling in the lobby, and we have these fabulous mid-century modern cement blocks that line a lot of the walls in some of the main areas, and they cannot be removed. So when I started approaching the design, I said, well, let me look at the bones of the building. Let me see what the building, right? It's the confidant, it has a story. And so I looked at the design in all of the areas that will be surrounding the space I'm designing. And it's a collaboration of this mid-century modern. There's shiplap, there's exposed ceilings, they have some louvers, used as dividers. And so the whole feeling that was already existing in the hotel kind of gave me this, British colonial meets mid-century modern. So I based my design around a tropical mid-century modern retreat. I intended it for it to be relaxed, serene, and refined. And based on all of that, I came up with some design guidelines. The ones that were really influential, especially, were focusing on existing architecture within the space and creating a harmony between spaces that exist and making them feel like they flow into the rest of the spaces. Really focusing on a home-like environment. So residential design was heavily referenced for a lot of the projects. And then just a neutral color palette. People that aren't feeling well can be sensitive to colors and patterns and textures. And then, of course, the positive distraction, which I used as a sense of community. So introducing LYPTUS, which is a medical wellness retreat. So when approaching, again, I divided into what I consider to be community and then semi-private and then private. So blue areas are public, which is all kind of in the front and in the main thoroughfare that goes out to the back of the hotel. And then you have semi-private, which is kind of this medical wellness here. That's the first floor. I focused a lot on ceiling design, but we can go back to that if we have time. And then second floor is a little bit more private, and this is where you could do things on your own. You have, yoga, meditation, treatments, things like that. So the current lobby was a little closed off, kind of felt a little drab. And so I opened up the lobby to have a sense for
5 minutes now, sorry.
Oh, sure. So I opened up the lobby so that people can kind of sit, and it's a place to see, be seen, but it's also comfortable. Taking from mid-century modern design, I did a focal fireplace right in the middle with seating that goes around it. The reception is here. I moved it down. It was originally here. I moved it down. It is a place where you don't have the double height or a standing height. It's more of like a sit and feel comfortable. The mid-century modern blocks that I talked about before, I extended them out and created a feature entrance into the wellness center on the side. And then this is another shot of the seating area within the lobby. Elevation, so this is the back side of the fireplace, not facing the doors of the lobby. This is an area where people can grab fruit and water for wellness. They could sit and relax. And then this is an elevation of that feature wall I was talking about and the reception. So the current bar, I actually changed the current bar a little bit because I shortened it because we moved a lot of seating outside. So this is the new proposed bar. The space behind the bar is utilized for both the conference room and the kitchen. So this is an elevation of the bar. So this is now behind that bar, utilizing that space. So it's a conference room where people can, learn about health and wellness and, all sorts of different classes that would run. This is the kitchen for people to learn how to cook healthier. There's a garden outside so people can learn how to grow their own fruits and vegetables. Coming out, so this space right here is where that conference room is. This is the current lobby ramp. what I did, and this is the main thoroughfare to go outside. So what I did was I opened that up and expanded it. I created seating areas for people that would be in the conference room or the kitchen, and they could, if they needed to use the phone, whatever, they can come out and use it. It's also just an area where people can, you know, kind of sit and relax and meet other people. In elevation, because that's on a ramp. So I built it to go up 8 inches, go 10 feet, 8 inches, and then up another 8 inches. So moving on to the check-in for the wellness center. So this is the check-in. I wanted it to feel relaxed. I didn't want a counter where you just stand and check in. I wanted it to sit. You usually have paperwork to fill out. So that's the check-in. Elevation of the check-in. This is the relaxation room right behind that wall. Relaxation room where you kind of check in. You could wait for your therapist to come and grab you. Usually people have anxiety, so I wanted to kind of bring that down, give them a chance to rest, and then move on. This is an elevation within that relaxation room. Then we move on to the IV pods. So when you come in for treatment, it was kind of this, you know, a little private, but you still are kind of open. And I just wanted it to feel, you know, kind of serene. This is up against a window so that they have views outside. Then we talked about a pharmacy and a juice bar. So this is the area here. Ooh, ooh. Then on the second floor, where you go into more of the spa area, this is an elevation of one of the locker rooms. You have the sinks. Behind here is where the sauna, jacuzzi, and steam room are. These are shower doors. They just didn't render all the way. And then this is where you grab your towels. You put dirty towels underneath. This is elevation of the sauna spa. And then you have the yoga room, which is down at the end. And that is it.
Great job. And we got Yi, and I think we got Kathy.
All right.
Do you want to take the 2 minutes you got and sort of do a little brief of your introduction, sort of overall context, so you can capture it?
Yeah. So I guess the best introduction to understand the design would be that I focused, right? So we did the Confidant Hotel. It is a 21-day, I'm focusing on a 21-day cancer retreat. So a 21-day cancer retreat and 21 days, because it takes 21 days for people to break old habits and form new ones. And in my project, I'm not focusing on chemotherapy as the treatment. I'm focusing this as a pre or post cancer treatment, where people learn how to change their habits and heal their mind and spirit. One of the biggest takeaways that we learned from studying Hippocrates in West Palm Beach was that community was the most important factor in people healing. And it was sharing a journey with people and having somebody to talk to that's been through the same things that you have. And so the basis of the project was to create community areas where people can have shared experiences together, like taking cooking classes and things like that. And so when you leave there, you have lifelong experience or lifelong friends. So I separated the entire program into 3 areas: community, and then you have a medical wellness, which can be either by yourself or with someone else, and then wellness spa, which is more of by yourself. Again, the Confidant Hotel is what we did. It is a vibrant mid-century and Art Deco building. It has a storied history. And that drove a lot of my design decisions, because I looked at the surrounding design in the rooms that surrounded what I was designing. And so I pulled factors from those rooms in order to make it feel seamless between what was designed and what was existing. So these pictures show the rooms that surround where I designed, and they're very kind of mid-century modern, which is my concept, is a tropical mid-century modern retreat. And then it's called LYPTUS, which is a medical wellness retreat. And I'm not sure where anybody jumped in. But current lobby, proposed lobby, This is all images of that lobby, elevations from the lobby, current bar. I cut this in half so that I can create community areas behind it. So this is the bar cut in half. And then this is behind the bar, conference room. This is the kitchen, garden. You have the current lobby. I expanded it out so that we can incorporate it into almost like a community meeting area. So you have built-in seating that goes out, elevation because it is built up on a ramp like that. This is the LYPTUS check-in. So, you know, come in more comfortable than just checking in at a standing height. Elevation, relaxation room that you see behind there. Relaxation room for when after you check in. IV pod. This is the store and juice bar. Elevations. This is now upstairs. So locker room, elevations, and then yoga room.
Oh, in a nutshell.
Wow, that's impressive. Sorry for jumping in so late. I had a little issue with Zoom.
No worries.
But do you mind if I just give you a few comments?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Off the top of my head, from what I just saw, it looks like you blended the aspects of healthcare and hospitality very well. I think it definitely speaks to a space for healing without the institutionalized stereotypicals of what you see in healthcare world. I love that you brought the architecture inside into the interior design. It all blends, it speaks the same language, but that you were able to divide the space to create a lot of like sense of privacy and sort of personal identification with those little niches and enclosed spatial relationships. I think it was very successful. And what program did you use to do this for rendering?
I used all Revit.
Was that all Revit?
All Revit. That's why, like, you could see like the renders that I completely ran out of time on. And Revit is not the easiest program to try to render in. And so it takes a really long time because lighting and materials when you render in Revit is the hardest thing in the world to do. So it's all Revit though. That's what it is.
Rev what?
That is all Revit.
It's beautiful. It's well done.
Thank you.
Great job. I really enjoyed how you framed your design challenge, which is, you know, to his point is, you know, hospitality and you know, the soft touch of healthcare, and the way you brought this all together on a very consistent proposal with first your design party, the way you briefed the program, and your communication skills. It's part of the setting were, I mean, even though you asked me at start, you know, showing some anxiety about doing, you nailed it.
Thank you.
The points of you know, improvement would be, and that's very much, you know, really getting into the sophistication that the program deserves, is there's sort of a sense and sort of a predisposed sort of attitude in leading with cancer patients, which is it almost feels like you can listen to any place you go in your environment.
Okay.
Which is not necessarily what you want to target, especially because contextually you're giving them Miami Beach, hospitality, hotel. So there's a piece of that component that should be like that sort of reserved, you know, sort of introspective, you know, but there is sort of vibrancy. There's also, as you mentioned, community activity. And I know you brought in the programmatic components, so the training kitchen and the conference room, but it didn't bring as much the vibe of also that with it.
Okay.
So I would definitely give that more reach step, you know, if you ever get to develop this, sort of also towards, you can zone it, you can do one side very introspective, the other side more vibrant, but bring it in also to your design.
Okay.
And absolutely, I mean, I got a little confused when you show the IV pods, and, you know, now I realize that you're proposing not, you know, chemo IV, but just IV, whatever is proposed for a post-treatment, or, you know, maybe a sort of palliative or something that is not as hazardous as treatment.
Yeah.
And that really deserves a lot of attention, not only for the design of the space, but of, mobility, of what's needed, on the resourcefulness. And, I think that place should have been special, regardless if it's not, the actual chemotherapy. It's a unique place, and it poses its unique design challenges. But, overall, it's just excellent piece of work.
Thank you, Arthur.
Do your colleagues get you critique?
I don't know. What do you guys got to say after spending 3 years on this? 2 years.
I like it. It's really nice you were able to blend in a lot of the aspects into the project.
Thank you, Jess.
I like it so much. Like, it's you, Ash.
You said it in tropical mid-century modern May.
Yeah.
Thank you.